Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Dear Ma'sooma, the show that seeks to answer your deepest queries and concerns. My name is Sana Araji and I'm here with Ma'sooma Al-Ja'far. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, it's nice to see you again for
Thank
another
you,
episode
nice to be
of
here.
Dear Ma'sooma. So we're just going to go straight to one of our dear viewers' questions. Inshallah, you can answer it for them. Okay, so let's go. Dear Ma'sooma, I've been struggling to find a husband. I've never been married before and I'm getting to a certain age now. I find it difficult to trust the men I come across in the community. I've been told that I am shallow for expecting my future spouse to be chaste, so to speak, I can't help it, but that's how I feel. I don't want a husband with a past to potentially ruin my future, and to some extent it's stopping me from getting married. Is that a bad thing? Is it religiously acceptable if I never get married?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I'm going to go through this step by step because there's a lot of things that she said here. So she talks about the fact that she's finding it struggling to find a husband, and that's probably down to the fact that she's reached a certain age, which she says, because again, I think we have to be practical about this. As you get older, it is more difficult for you to get married because you're more set in your ways, and it's more difficult for then you to change, and therefore men tend to look for younger girls to get married to rather than older or the same age spouses. So recognizing that there is a window there where it's more likely you're going to get married, and that's not to say you're not going to get married after a certain age, but it's more difficult. So opening yourself to, obviously not for her but for other people who are listening, opening yourself up to thinking about getting married when you're younger. One, because that's what the hadith recommends. Two, it actually stops you from doing haram things. And three, it allows you to grow together, which is important. Okay, so it's actually very, very recommended to get married earlier rather than later. But for this specific person, they say that they're wanting their future spouse to be chaste. What does that mean to them? I would ask them, does it mean that this person should not have been married before? Does it mean that this person should not have been in a halal relationship before? What does it mean? And I think that's important, because if they're crossing out everything, so this person has never been with anyone, then I think they're making it more difficult for themselves to find someone. If they've been in a halal relationship, then why do you have a problem with that? So if they've been married before, if they've been in a mutar relationship, why do you have a problem with that? If Allah has says it's okay, why, as a person, am I saying it's not okay? Okay, they're saying that they can't help it, that's how they feel. I would actually say to them, you can help how you feel. We have control over our emotions, although we don't realize we do. A lot of the times we let our emotions control us. And it's recognizing, no, I can control how I feel, and actually reflecting on why this is important to me. What is it? What does that say about me? What is it that's driving me to feel this way? And then actually changing it. So if I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I've never been married before, so I deserve to have someone who's never been married before. What you deserve and what you get may be two totally different things. Again, recognizing that, you know, I may have a certain thing in my mind, but Allah may have something else in His, you know, for me. And being okay with that is really, really important. I love the statement, I don't want a husband with a past to potentially ruin my future. Why does she think that someone with a past would ruin her future? Why can someone with a past not be someone with experience, someone who has grown from their past, someone who will actually help them to grow? I think your past is what makes you who you are. If I look at myself 10 years ago and the person I am now, I am who I am because of the 10 more years that I've lived. So, you know, and there are, you know, my past isn't everything amazing. It's the good and the bad that's made me grow. Sometimes you go through something that is not so nice, something, or you know, you've done something that is wrong, but it's helped you to grow as a person. And you know, I think as human beings, we do tend to commit sin, and we do tend to disobey Allah, and it's not okay to do that. But it's, again, recognizing that when I do that, actually asking for His forgiveness and righting the wrong and growing from that. So a lot of the times the growth happens from our mistakes rather than from getting everything right. So I would say that the past, why would you say that the past is potentially going to ruin your future? Why not? Why it may actually enhance your future. And then she says, is it a bad thing? Is it religiously acceptable if I never get married? So is it something that, it's not wajib to get married, but it is something that's very, very highly recommended.
Okay.
So it's not, you know, it's not a bad thing if she doesn't get married, but I feel like there's a lot that she will miss out on if she chooses not to get married herself. And it's actually disliked for people to actually choose not to get married. You know, the hadith of the Holy Prophet says, those who don't get married are not from me. And that's out of choice. If she doesn't get married because, you know, she didn't get a chance to get married, that's different. Maybe that's what Allah has planned for her, because He's got another plan for her, which doesn't involve marriage. I think there's 2-3 things I want to talk about here. One is my identity shouldn't be based on whether I'm married or whether I have children, or, you know, my identity is as a servant to Allah, as a slave to Allah. So it doesn't matter what my life situation is. It doesn't matter if I get married or I don't get married, if I have children or I don't have children. That's important. But at the second place, I need to also look at from the perspective of there are certain things that are very, very recommended, and I should be trying to do those things, and marriage is one of them. Having children is another thing. So I do whatever I can in order to fulfill these rights. If they do not get fulfilled, then it doesn't make me less of a person. And I'm comfortable with that, and sort of, you know what, yes, I did everything I could, but God chose not to, you know, let me have a spouse, or not to let me have children. And I know that He only does what's best for me, and so, you know, I'm as much okay as I can be with that situation, because again, it's something that's innate in us, something, you know, we're from a very young age, you know, you have a whole life plan where you're supposed to study, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids, and then you're supposed to have grandchildren, and that's how it's supposed to work out. And if it doesn't, there's something wrong. You know, I haven't, there's something wrong in my life. I'm not going to reach perfection, and that's not true. So it's important to recognize that I can reach perfection without getting married, if that's what God chooses for me, not if that's what I choose for myself.
So what about if both, not just the female and the male are just being too fussy?
Yeah.
Like that could get in the way of them potentially not getting married, like.
For sure, and I think a lot of the times that's what it is.
Right.
This concept of perfection. I want someone who's perfect. First of all, there's no one that's perfect. Recognizing again what marriage is there for. It's not for my happily ever after. It's for my growth towards Allah. Recognizing that God is in control, and inshallah He will send me the person that He thinks will help me to grow towards Him. Looking at the hadith which says to look at religion and akhlaq.
Okay.
And that's not to say other things don't matter. Of course they do matter. You know, for someone to say you shouldn't look at looks at all, I think that's wrong, because looks are important. I need to find my spouse attractive. That's something that's, you know, that every spouse wants, you know, for everyone wants for their spouse, sort of thing. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, attraction is in the eyes of the beholder. And different people find different things attractive. So it may not just, for some, especially for women, I feel like it's not the physical looks that you find attractive. It's the inner personality that comes out, which then you see that person in a different light. But you don't get to see the inner personality generally, so you will go on the physical looks to a certain extent. But for men, I think the physical looks are much, much more important. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because that's the way that God's created us. And you know, what one person finds attractive, another person may not. And again, attraction is very subjective. So I don't, you know, you know, there will be someone there who finds you attractive.
Okay.
And it's to recognize that. So it's not about you know, the Hollywood looks of what attraction should be, or the size 0 model or whatever. It's literally what, you know, if you're being authentic, what the other person finds attractive. It is, you know, it's not what, you know, the movies want to put out there. It's literally, you know, seeing the person for who they are.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important when you're having those conversations to actually have a true, authentic conversation, to try to show who you truly are as much as is possible within those conversations.
So if you get to know someone and then you don't feel attracted to them, that's enough as an excuse to kind of say, I don't want to get married. That's a valid reason not to?
I think first of all, you need to sort of look at why it is you're not finding them attractive, and maybe actually have a few more conversations with that person to see if there's something that would attract you to them. So I think for a woman, again, like I said, if you get to know the person, you may change the way you look at them. For a guy, it may not be that easy. It may not be like that. So it's again, and being true to yourself. If you truly, truly don't find this person attractive, then yeah, I think that's a, you know, you can sort of say, look, you know, I'm sorry, this person isn't for me.
Okay.
But again, the hadith doesn't say that if they've got religion and akhlaq, you have to marry them. It says you should consider them.
Right.
So it's opening yourself up for that consideration, and then looking at what appeals to you. And then different people are different. So for some people, it's like, you know, they need to have someone they can laugh and joke with. For some people, they need to have someone who, you know, is on a certain path. For some people, you know, so it's different, and it's sort of knowing yourself to know what's important to you, and also why those things are important to you, and also recognizing the fact that you're going to be constantly changing. Who I was when I got married to who I am now, a world of difference. It's like, you know, if you were to ask me now what my criteria would be, it would be totally different to what it was then.
Yeah.
So it's again recognizing that you're going to change, and you're going to grow together, inshallah, as a couple, as well as grow yourselves, sort of thing. And it's, you know, understanding all of that. So again, not being too set in your criteria, and whatever you're putting as your criteria, why is that important to you? Should it be important to you?
Okay.
And then, you know, sort of deciding whether, okay, this person may not have this, which was, you know, so for example, some people say they don't want someone who smokes because it really irritates them. But if this person has everything else, yet they smoke, do you really want to let go of this person? You know, it's, and yes, it's irritating. Yes, it's something you really, really strongly feel. Why? Why do you feel so strong against it? You know, it's like actually sort of reflect on your own sort of, why is that a huge deal in your life? What is it about the cigarettes that is irritating to you? Is it the smell? Is it the look? You know, the stain on the teeth and the fingers, or is it the fact that it's an addiction and you're not comfortable with them being addicted to anything but Allah? So there's lots of different reasons, and actually then having those conversations. And just because they smoke now doesn't mean that they're going to smoke for the rest of their lives. Maybe it's a journey that they need to go on. Again, you know, some people will say, I'm not going to marry this person because they don't have a job. You can marry someone who has a job and they may lose it the very next day after your nikah.
Very true, yeah.
So it's like, you know, these should not be things that are set in stone. They may be important to you, but one, question why they're important. And secondly, actually think about, is it something that this person's in control of? Is it something that you're in control of? Or is it something that's down to God? And you know what? It may change.
I think a lot of the issues come from small, petty problems like this, like I don't like the way they dress, or
again, that can be changed,
which
right?
things can be, that you said, they're not set in stone.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they compare to what they want. They have an idea of what they want their spouse to look like.
Yeah.
And so when they're not looking like that, they're not ticking the boxes off that's in their head.
Exactly.
Not knowing that actually 5 years down the line, that spouse could be completely different.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, 10 years ago, before I got married, I was completely different. I wouldn't have thought that 10 years, you know, so much change goes along. And I think you need to know that change happens with a spouse.
Exactly. And you change as well. It's like, so at the age of 18, how a person dresses may be really huge to you.
Yeah.
At the age of 28, it's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like, seriously? Is that
I
what,
know.
you know? So it's again recognizing that you as a person change as well. And I think here I would actually say, you know, a lot of people have these contracts that they sign before marriage, premarital contracts.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that, and I think if it's something that you've sat down together and decided, and you know, because marriage is a contract, so you can put conditions in and things like that. What I would say is like, what conditions are you putting in, and why are you putting those in? Because again, recognizing that you may change. So you know, you're putting this condition in at the moment, but it may not be such a big deal later on. You know, so looking at, first of all, from an Islamic perspective, do I want to put a condition in which Allah has allowed and I'm now not allowing? Do I have that right? Do I want to put a condition in where I'm actually talking about divorce before I've even got married to this person? I mean, do I really want to start my marriage off like that? So, you know, there's, and I know that there are some people who feel like there's a need to protect themselves. But again, I feel like, where is God in that picture? Where's the trust that God will protect you? And yes, sometimes you do have to go, you know, you do go through hell and back. But knowing that God is there in the picture, and you will be compensated for going through so much, and seeing the bigger picture from that, the growth that comes out of it, makes it worth it in the end. It's like the whole concept of, you know, Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. It's like, when she was asked, how do you see what Allah has done to you? She said, I saw nothing but beauty. Because everything, if it's Allah that's done it, then there is nothing but beauty, because I know that I'm going to be compensated. I know. But if he had asked her, how do you see what we've done to you? I'm sure the answer would have been totally different. It's, you know, so it's like, and again, if she was, you know, if she'd put in the condition that, you know what, I'm not going to go with my brother. Imagine what she would have lost out on. That growth, that closeness to Allah, that, you know, being there to support her imam, it's huge. And she did it without her spouse. You know, it's like she didn't say, okay, you know what, my husband's not coming, so I'm not going to come. I mean, how many of us would actually say that? You know what, my husband's not coming, so I'm not going to come because I need my husband to support me. No, I need Allah to support me. And as long as Allah is there, I'm okay. So it's, again, recognizing that Allah will put us in situations where there will be growth. And, you know, I may go through a marriage which is really, really difficult, and it may end really awfully. But as long as Allah is in the picture, I know I'm going to be okay. Even if that person is acting really, really awful, I will be compensated for the hurt that he's put me through, and he will be he will be recompensed for all the evil that he's done as well. So it's recognizing all of that and not trying to. I feel like the more we grow as a society, the more we want to be in control. But we're not truly in control ever.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, sitting on the passenger side and pressing a brake that's not there, and making myself feel like, you know, I'm doing something when I'm really not. It's like God has the accelerator, He has the brake, He has the steering wheel. If I just recognize that, then I just sit back and enjoy the ride. And when it's going through a really difficult time, actually connect myself to Allah so that I'm able to go through that difficult time.
I think that's where a lot of the issues are coming. I feel like family, friends, they're creating anxiety in people instead of actually saying it the way you've just said it, keeping your faith in Allah. They're actually making them worry, saying, you know, this happened to this person in the community, so make sure you write this in the contract. So it's all about what happened to previous people. So just to be on the safe side, put this in your contract. You don't know, you can't trust men. So I feel that's what's happening, and a lot of women are more hesitant and more worried because they know, oh, someone had a really bad divorce before, so I need to make sure I avoid this because that person had that trait and I don't want that to happen to me. But
and I'm sure that person did go through so much, and I'm sure they had a really bad divorce, and you know, and I totally empathize with them. But even if you put all of those conditions in, if this person doesn't want to abide by those conditions, he's not going to. No one's, you know, you can't force someone to do something, no, even if it's written down in a contract. Secondly, it's like, I feel like, honestly, and maybe I'm just being, for me, it's like, where is God in that picture? It's like, you know, you have people who will save and save and save for old age because, you know what, there may come a time when I'm abandoned by everyone and I need to be able to take care of myself and I need to have money. Again, when you're a baby, Allah took care of you through your parents. When you're an old person, Allah will take care of you either through your children or through someone else. There are people whose parents died or whose parents abandoned them. Allah didn't abandon them. They were still taken care of as babies by someone else. And if they weren't taken care of and they went through a really difficult time, again, Allah didn't abandon them. Allah will compensate them whatever pain they've gone through in this world. And in the hereafter, they'll actually be grateful for the pain and the growth that they got from that.
Yeah.
So again, you know, I think it's just constantly I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't have these contracts. I'm not, because fiqh-wise there's nothing wrong with it. What I'm saying is, one, think about what you're putting in the contract if you're having a contract. First, think about why you want the contract.
Okay.
Secondly, what are you putting in the contract? How is it based on Islam rather than your own wish list or desires? And thirdly, it's actually thinking about where is God in all of this?
Okay.
Trusting Allah to actually sort of think about, you know, is Allah part of this thinking process?
Right.
How much do I trust Him? How much do I know He's got my back?
Inshallah. Yeah, no, I mean, this topic we can just go on for such a long time discussing it, because, you know, there's so many things to consider: the community, the family, maybe not of teaching your children that marriage isn't all about perfection, so that when they do look, they understand that it's not all that the kind of the movies kind of make it out to be. It's actually hardship. Marriage should also have a second name, and I should like trial and tribulations or hardships. It shouldn't be like marriage is like, oh, it's all lovey-dovey all the time. No.
But then again, I suppose that's down to the purpose behind marriage is for growth. And whenever there's growth, there is hardship.
Yeah, and growth should be another name for a marriage, really. You know?
For sure.
So inshallah, hopefully, you know, we've able to cover a lot of what this viewer has discussed, and inshallah, I'm sure many other people have also had similar situations. It is difficult, I must say. It is very hard for the youth now to kind of find the right spouse with so many obstacles in the way, you know, blinding them sometimes. But inshallah, we've managed to cover this, and again, do continue to send in your questions, even if it sounds similar to these, it might be specific to you. Just send it to us, and we'll put it forward to Sister Ma'asuma, inshallah, so that she can address the issue for you. Thank you again, Ma'asuma, for answering that wonderfully for us. And please, again, like I said, do let us know of any issues you may have. And inshallah, we will see you on another episode of Dear Ma'asuma. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.